Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Encrypted Connections. I am your host, Kyle. And tonight we have one of our good friends back on the show. If you were here the first time, you remember what a wonderful response we got for this young lady. It was probably, I think, one of the better responses that I've gotten on any show, to be completely honest with you. We talked about how you should get your children involved in this subject. And tonight, Miss Lauren Smith is back on to discuss her encounters and experiences with these giant hairy hominids we call Sasquatch. How are you tonight, Miss Lauren?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm okay. Real quick, we are getting ever so close to the 1,000 subscriber mark here. This is a personal goal of mine. This is to me, this is huge. I didn't think when I started this that I would even surpass 100 subscribers. Never mind reach 1,000. And we are so close. I think as of today, it was 24, 25 away. So I'm now, I don't ever ask this. You don't hear me ever really say, please like, share, subscribe. My mother yells at me all the time for not doing it. I am asking, I'm pleading, please, if you are not subscribed, subscribe. If you have friends, get them to subscribe. I will give you all $1 if you get your friends to subscribe.
Don't say that.
You're right, because I don't have $1,000 to give.
I will give you a shout out.
I'll give you a shout out. I told you all when we hit 1,000 that we were going to do a giveaway. I was going to make a 1-of-1 first piece of merch. And somebody was going to win it. And then after the 1,000, I was going to start making merch. But that piece will be the only one. There'll be none before it, none after it. It'll be the only one. So someone will have that. And I think you'll really enjoy it. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you'll really enjoy it. But anyway, we're here tonight to discuss our favorite topic, which is Sasquatch. I know I can't get enough. How about you? Can you ever get enough?
No, I've been obsessed with this thing for, 20 odd years now. So I've had my little moments where I throw a fit and have a crisis of faith. I don't even believe in Bigfoot anymore. This is stupid because I've never had a sighting. And so, but then invariably something will happen that'll draw me back in and get me addicted again. I mean, I can truly say that I am addicted to Bigfoot. So.
Yeah, for sure. It becomes an addiction, and it becomes an addiction really quickly. I think that for a lot of people, when you talk to them and you ask them, how did you get involved? They invariably say, oh, I had a sighting, right? Yeah. Or they had some sort of overwhelming encounter that made them a believer or a knower.
Yeah.
I think most people don't just go, like, people can believe, but they don't get involved in the community like we are unless there was something overwhelming that happened.
Right.
And once you have any of those things happen, it's so gripping.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you, and you want to know more, and you want to see more, and you want to have that sighting, and you want to hug one, and you want to
Yeah.
have coffee with one, and so yeah, I get it, man. I totally get it.
It's so funny because Unsolved Mysteries. I grew up
Great
watching
show.
Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah. But when I got older, now I watch murder documentaries all the time. Like that's my favorite thing. And I'll watch them and there's usually always a resolution, right? And so when Unsolved Mysteries came back and I was watching it recently, I was like, ugh. I was like, I need an ending. This sucks. I want the resolution. Like, what happened to this person? And I don't remember who, but one of my friends was like, don't you look for like Bigfoot? And isn't there like no answer to that? And I was like, shut up. I was like, this is why I am the way I am. Unsolved Mysteries made me want to, go after the ultimate mystery, which to me is Bigfoot, and so
good old Robert Stack.
Yeah. So I think that's why I am the way I am, besides my mom being who she is, So,
yeah, right. That helps too. Yes, your mother being a legend in her own right in this field.
She is. She is.
A lot of pressure there.
The thing is like she's been in the game for 20 years, and obviously, the first however many years I was in the game, I didn't have a driver's license, so it's not like I could just drive to different areas and research like her. So for the first, we'll say 10 years, she was actively researching, and she's had all these sightings over the 20 years, and at least 5 confirmed sightings. And I haven't had
5.
I haven't had one in 20 years. So it's kind of like being the daughter of an NBA player and really sucking at sports. That's what it feels like.
Never scoring a basket.
Never like tripping over the ball, like running into the wall behind the goal. Like it's ridiculous. But I mean, I have learned so much from her. I have been very blessed over the years to have known some very amazing and infamous researchers, some of the lesser known and amazing, no less amazing researchers, different research techniques and methods over the years, thousands of witness encounters and experiences that I've heard and been privy to. Just the amount of Bigfoot detritus in here is astounding. If I could get it all out, I could literally just be a walking library for Bigfoot encounters. I probably have more in here than the BFRO. Like you can say a word and I have an encounter to go with it that I can pull out and tell you about. Like someone will be like, oh, kayakers. And I'm like, oh, Lake Keystone in Oklahoma, there were kayakers kayaking around the point and they were having rocks thrown at them by Bigfoot. And it's just like, I mean, I can just like my little Rolodex of Bigfoot in my head.
What comes to your head when I say blueberries?
Oh, I don't know if I have one for blueberries. I'm sure I do. The Cherokee used to trade berries and such.
Look at you
at their border
Jesus.
For protection from the Bigfoot, so the Bigfoot wouldn't eat their babies and women's.
And now she's just showing off, folks.
I want to say hi in the chat to Janelle, my favorite, and also Bigfoot Anon, because
what's up, awesome. Connor?
Yeah,
he is awesome. He's very few words in my chat. He comes in, says like 2 things, and then he disappears.
I got to meet him in Alabama, and he was a phenomenal person. He affected me very much because he asked me something that in 20 years I have never been asked this question. And it affected me so greatly that I ask others this question now, and I give him full credit. But he said, what was your most positive experience with Bigfoot? And it stumped me. I mean, it stumped me for a good 5 minutes. I just sat there staring at him. I'm like, I've never been asked this in my life. That's such a great question. I don't even know. Give me a minute. Like it was an amazing question. And of course, that's how Connor is. He's off the wall. He comes in out of the box and he's like, shakes up your little brain and makes you think outside the box, which is so good.
Me and Connor have actually never had a conversation
Really? You
He's
need to
only,
remedy that.
I know I do. He comes in the chat, and every time he comes in the chat, I say, "Hey, I need you on my show. Let's make this happen." Now you're backed into a corner. Every time you're in my chat, I say this, and then he disappears.
Aw.
It's like this. Let me get out of here before I got to answer this guy and say yes.
Oh my gosh, he's a great guy. There was a lot of great people at that camp out that I met. So you know,
There are a lot of great people in this community.
there are.
There's a weeding out process, I think, that happens though. And when you first get in, you're so overjoyed to be discussing this stuff with other people who have like minds and who are passionate about it, and people that you've looked up to, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to just kind of have the blinders on and not be looking with, full vision at what's going on in front of you.
Yeah.
And
It's
we've all made mistakes.
We've all made mistakes and trusted the wrong people. And it sucks because I'm a weird dichotomy. I am the most trusting person you'll ever meet. I want to believe the best of everyone, but having been in this community for so long, I am instantly distrustful of people. But I end up giving people chances, and I get burned a lot. But for the 5 poop heads that I run across, I find a gem. I'll find one gem, and it's worth it. I have the people that have come into my life through the Bigfoot community. I would not trade for anything in the world. They're more family to me than my own family. So
I 100% agree with you. I don't know a lot of these people, I think, the way that you know them. You've been doing this a lot longer than I have, so it's different, right?
Yeah.
But I say this every time I go live, which is often. I go live every day, basically, even if it's for 10 minutes, like in my morning walk or whatever. I say it all the time. I want everyone to understand that it's so true that the people that are here, the people who are in this chat, the ones that show up time after time after time, the ones that email, the ones that comment, the ones that give, they are some of the greatest folks that I've ever spoken to in my life. 100%. No exaggeration at all.
Yeah.
They're amazing, amazing people.
Absolutely.
And they make it easy on those days when you go, F the world. I don't want to do shit today to go, but I'm going to take those 2 hours to make sure that I'm out in the woods or that I have a show ready. Right.
I always say that. I say, I do night callers. I don't do night callers for money. If I could make some money, that would be fantastic.
Be great, wouldn't it?
I don't do it for money. I don't do it for attention. I don't do it to be popular or well known. If there was one person that liked listening to my show, just one out of my however many subscribers, I would do the show for that one person. Luckily, I have at least 5, including my mother, that want me to keep doing the show. So here I am still doing the show. But I do it for the few people that really love my show and want to hear it. And, I tell people there's a lot of shitheads in the Bigfoot community, a lot there. And then there are a lot of, very enthusiastic people who don't know a lot. And there are a lot of people who are jerks. And the only thing you can do, especially to people who are enthusiastic, but don't know a whole lot, don't know that the picture that they're circulating has already been proven to be a hoax 20 years ago, and it gets recirculated every 5 years. That happens. The thing that you can do is be kind. You don't have to be a jerk and tear someone down just because they didn't know that picture was fake. Be kind. I get quite a few messages and questions, and it's, for a while there, I was getting jaded because it was the same questions over and over. What do you think Bigfoot is? What do you think Dogman is? What do you know? And it's like when you've gotten that for 20 years, the same thing. And it's easy to get frustrated and maybe respond rudely or something. And I always try to be kind. And I thank God that I do that, because I had somebody message me and they were asking those questions. And I call them the basic Bigfoot questions. And I got to meet that person. And because I was kind and answered their questions, I got to meet that person in Falk. And that person was Janelle. And she is a second mother to me now. And she is truly one of the kindest, most amazing people and the most eager to learn about this topic that I have ever
So
met.
eager. Yeah.
And so I was kind. I met her, and this is my payoff for being kind. So, I just say, just be kind. Like, and so my group rules, and on my show, my group rules are be kind or kindly shut up, because we have enough hate in the world. I don't need that on my show. I don't need that in my group. I don't need that in my chat. My chat runs itself. I have moderators, but the trolls don't really come in my chat very often.
We don't have them either. We've had two, and one of them was a true troll. The other one was, I think, more like I don't know, just maybe a disgruntled guy who was like, but one was a true troll. That was it.
Yeah.
We've never had any since then. Like you said, this chat runs itself because it's filled with amazing folks.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, this is my best friend since we were kids right here. This is my literally my closest friend since we were children, since we were 11 and 12 years old. This is my buddy Brandon.
That's awesome.
He's the one who wasn't feeling so well, like you weren't last week.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy.
Godspeed, my friend.
Once the merch comes out, you'll have your own. You'll get a shirt and a hat and a purse.
I recommend Pedialyte if you did not have that for your illness.
That's the best. If you're sick like that, it's the best thing you can drink.
Yeah.
It's the absolute best. It tastes like shit, but
I lived on Pedialyte and Pepto-Bismol or Kaopectate for 3 days, and it was rough. It was rough.
Yeah. The marijuana, if you can rub it on, or if you can't smoke, you can't eat it, but if you can get it into your system, it helps with the nausea big time.
Yeah.
Huge.
I think I had some odonestron, and it didn't even occur to me to take it because I was just so dang sick.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah,
you don't want to feel that. You don't want to feel that buzz either when you're sick. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I was sick. Like, it was like sick dog sick. It was nasty.
Yeah. Ben wants to know, can we please have merch beards? You guys want me to make fake beards for merch? All right, sure.
They want your beard.
I don't know what this thing is with the beard. Like, people have beards. It's a thing, a lot of people have beards.
I'm sad I don't have a beard now.
I think you'd look weird with a beard, but
hey, give me a minute.
Go for it.
I just got a haircut, so it's kind of short. Hi, Pyromedic. Good to see you again for the second night in a row.
A lot of awesome folks in here tonight. Hello, Linda. Hello, Ben. Hello, Bigfoot Lake. What's going on? Will the merch be movie quality? The beard merch will be movie quality. Yes, it will. It'll be
not as epic as yours, but I'm trying here.
Oh man, I used to have even better facial hair when I was younger. I feel
like it's better facial hair.
I did. I feel like it's thinned out as I've gotten older. Used to be much thicker, and but it is what it is. Yeah, we'll get you the movie quality merch, buddy. Just like the Chewbacca masks. Don't worry. Just like the Chewbacca masks. So anyway, let's talk about some of your experiences with these amazing creatures. I know you said you never had a sighting, but that doesn't mean that you haven't had experiences.
I have had a lot of experiences. I was actually writing them down before, as your intro was going, just so that I didn't forget anything, because again, that's 20 years of experiences. And so I break them up into like categories, like thermal experiences, infrasound experiences, eye shine experiences, growling experiences. Like, I have like a whole thing.
Well, that's awesome. That's what 20 years gets you, though. I mean, you kind of have to do that and break these things down. Let me ask you this question. When you go out into the woods to do an investigation, is there anything in particular that you do time after time to try to incite some activity?
I can tell you how I have come to research, because again, like over the past however many years, things have changed so much. So used to, you could walk out in the woods and you could bang on a tree or holler and you would get a response. And now it's not always the case. And so I now have felt the most success with go to a spot consistently. If you can go to the same spot consistently, do that. And when I get there, I set up camp and then I go hike. I look for evidence. I look for different sign that that a Bigfoot has been there, or that it would be a good habitat for a Bigfoot, that this would be a squatchy area. And I go hike and kind of, we'll say, leave my scent, but not in a weird way. I just hike through the area, and I don't like mark the tree or anything, but I'm sure I do stop and piddle, but
we've all had to do that out there.
I mean, it's just a thing. I don't rub on the trees or anything weird, but and then I come back to camp and I do my thing. I cook, I hang out with my people, and I sit around camp, but I stay aware. I stay aware of the noises around our camp, the wildlife around our camp, and just keep an eye out, but very chill, but just have a good time with my people out in nature. And it usually is pretty successful. We get some kind of activity. I don't generally do calls very much. I've been known to mess around and do a siren scream every now and then, just to let's see if we get something, and I'll do it. I did one. The first time I did it, I was with my mom and I was just messing around, and I just let off this siren scream, and the whole forest shut up. Everything went silent. And I was like, yeah, that was awesome. I haven't been able to replicate that. And I tried recently, and my mom laughed until she peed. So it was, and I have it on recording, and I was gearing myself up to do it. And it was really dark, and I was standing out of my sunroof in the middle of the woods, and I was like, let it go or whatever. And we're listening, and my mom finally quit laughing. We're listening, and then she banged the side of the car and scared the crap out of me. This is my favorite research partner. I've been researching with her for 20 years. This is how we research. We are serious, and we go out there, we have a parabolic dish and all of that, but we also have a really good time.
That's awesome.
But anyways, I believe in going to an area, hiking around, looking around, looking at the habitat, looking for sign, evidence, stuff like that, and then going back to camp and staying in one place and paying attention to what's around you. So,
I think the continuously going to the same place over and over again, if you know that there is sign there that they have been there, or that they are there, or that you have current activity that tells you they're there, and continuously going back over and over is such an important thing. You hear people say I went to this place today, and then next week I'm going to this place, and then next week I'm going to this place. And I've done that. I'll do that once in a while. I'll go to a different place to check it out. But I have a place, Oklahoma. You from Oklahoma?
Yes.
Okay. She's from Oklahoma. Bigfoot Mama.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
If you are not subscribed, please subscribe, Bigfoot Mama. And hit the like button. Hit the like button, guys. Please hit the like button. Anyway, I'm done pleading. But yes, going to the same place over and over. You get. I think what happens is just like with anything, you have the opportunity to have them get used to you in a way.
Yes. Yeah. They know that after you go in there a few times, they do get used to you. They're not like this unknown threat is in the woods. They get used to you, and then they start, they're going to be curious about you anyway, but they start really paying attention to you, and they're like, all right, they're a little more comfortable with you. And I recognize this hairless monkey. It's been here before. It didn't shoot at me. It didn't do stupid things. It didn't shoot off into the woods. All right, we'll let this one hang out, and we'll go a little closer,
Yeah, it's been working well, actually, in the area that I'm going to, especially over the last month. It's been working really well. I'm glad that there are people out there who share these tips, because before that, I was doing that whole let's go here, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. And
I mean, sometimes you have to do that to evaluate an area. I've been all over the United States, mostly to visit people and go on different outings and stuff. But around here, I actually had this conversation on another show. Around here, around the Tulsa area, all the good nature-y places to go and look for Bigfoot are also really great places to do drug deals and hide bodies. So
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, so I can, like, around here, it's really hard to, like, I have to travel up to at minimum 2 hours and up to however many in Oklahoma, within Oklahoma, at least 4 hours, 2 to 4 hours to get to any kind of place where I can research. So consistent researching for me is kind of hard
Difficult.
because it's once a month at best, because I do have a life and kids and,
Sure.
limited funds. So it's really hard, but consistent. If you can find a couple areas that you can consistently go to, you do have to go test out different areas, but if you can find those, it's just so worth it. It's so worth it.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Pays off it just pays off so much.
Yes.
The excitement that you get from it is just, it's really amazing. And these guys are there every weekend with me. These same people who are in the chat, they're there every weekend. I go live 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, generally for about 3 hours. So they've seen the dividends over the last month. It's been really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. When it starts to pay off, when you start to really feel like you're getting some success in that area and it's worth it. I have one area that I go to, and the last time I was there, I actually had, we had I'm going to say what we believe was a Bigfoot. It came up. We were on a ridge, like a flat ridge. And then down about 4 foot was the next level, and 4 foot was the next flat top. And we were all sitting around the fire, and we had one come up to the ridge right below us. And the only reason we knew it was there, well, we had heard some stuff over there, but we thought, squirrel, rabbit, armadillo, something. And my friend Dennis had just a regular camera, a digital camera, and he just went and flash, took 4 pictures in a row. When he did it, we were all looking over there and we saw eye shine. And I mean, really tall, off the ground, wide set eye shine. Mm. And it wasn't an owl. Like, this was something standing there. And then by the 4th flash, it was gone. And so when we looked at the pictures, it was nothing, eye shine, one eye, nothing. So it was like it was turning as we took it, but we got it on camera and we saw it as he took the pictures, and it was amazing. And that same weekend, I got a handprint on my car, and I got fur. It looked like fur, scraped the side of all the dirt on my car, and it left it looked like someone took a shag rug and, rubbed the side of my car. It was so awesome. Yeah. And I had gone there so many times before that finally happened.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's so crazy when you see that, right? Like you're talking about the fur, how it can, it looks like hair. I mean, it looks like dragging hair across, dirt, or I've even seen like the oil imprints from the oils on them.
So that's what I had.
So
I
cool.
had the handprint had dermal ridging. Like, I got good pictures of the dermal ridging on it. And then I had my boyfriend hold his hand up next to it, because he's 6'7", and he has he's a Bigfoot. Like, I finally found Bigfoot, and I'm gonna marry that man one day. So I had him put his hands next to that handprint, and it was not even near as big as that handprint. And the handprint kind of like leaned up on the top of my window, and the fingers curled over the top of my car, and along with the, dirt right there. And I was just, because I was actually changing in between the cars. I was putting my pants on, and I looked, and I was like, and I was like, what is that? And I took my headlamp and I looked down. I was like, Ryan, did you touch my car? And he's like, no. And I was like, you didn't like put your hand right here and like lean? He's like, why would I do that? And I was like, okay. I'm like, also, were you pantsless? Because there's fur marks on the, and so, but he didn't. And he came and brought his hand over there, and I have pictures of his hand next to it. And then I had him push his hand against the window, and you could see his handprint. You could see a little bit of dermal ridging. Like, it was very light. Yeah. Whatever this was so oily that it was like that. What did Shelley Covington is Alba vernix or whatever. It was like that sebum is the actual name for it. It was the sebum from the oil. And it was fantastic. Like
Yeah.
I've never gotten that kind of evidence before. And it was so exciting. And I took pictures and I didn't have an evidence kit with me to lift the handprint. And I was devastated because it rained
Uh,
that night, like after. Oh, I was devastated. But anyway, so it was pretty exciting. But I feel that we had that activity because we had all been there so much that it felt comfortable coming into camp because it knew nothing. We weren't going to do anything bad to it, you know.
where was your car parked during all this?
So Ryan's car was, so our campfire was in the center. Dennis and his tent and his Suburban was over here. My car was over here. Ryan's car, my camper right behind it. I mean, like it was walking between the cars as we were probably laying in the camper, maybe less than 10 feet from that area.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So I don't know if it did it because when we left the area, I took my car. So it would have to be at night when we were asleep. Good times. We had some weird stuff that trip. We had because that area you leave the camp and you kind of walk down this little trail to where we all go potty. And so we had walked down that little trail and there was all of a sudden there was just two little trees, like mini trees, and they were pulled out of the ground, still had the little root balls on them, and they were put over the trail in an X. And I remember like walking along and I looked at it and I was like, did one of y'all do this? And they were, of course, like, no, like, why would we do that?
Yeah.
And I remember I took a bunch of pictures of it and I was just like really fascinated that this was here because it was moved. The area where those little trees was over here. And these were all the way on the other side over the trail in an X. It's like, there's no way that can naturally happen. And I'm not one really to jump to conclusions, but there was just so much weird that weekend. We also had a weird drone alien thing happening in the sky. I mean, like there was a lot of weird that weekend.
I think all this weird is all tied together anyway. I mean, I think
yeah, that's true.
You know, you hear so many stories about multiple weird things happening at the same locations at the same time, and I mean, it's not surprising anymore. Really, it's like you expect it. So if I'm going out to a place where there's Sasquatch, I'm expecting there's maybe some orbs. If I'm going to a place where there's paranormal activity, I'm expecting there may be some alien activity. I don't know. I mean, I just think it's all somehow energetically tied together.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like nothing is out of the realm of possibility. Ryan and I had gone to that area alone one weekend, just us camping. And we were laying in our hammocks, just enjoying the beautiful weather. And I was looking through a spot in the trees and I saw a star. And I looked at it and I was like, is that the North Star? And I was like, hey, do you see the star over here? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, is that the North Star? He's like, no, that's not the North Star. And I was like, oh, okay. And kept laying there and I kept looking at it. And then I noticed it was staying in this little clearing of trees, but it was doing this. And I was like, and you know how you get that point at night where you're just like,
yeah,
like, is it my eyes? And so finally I was like, okay, can you sit up again and look at this again? I was like, is it moving? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, but it's not a lot. He's like, yeah, it's definitely moving though. And it was this little bright light. And I was like, and I sat there and watched it. And then I noticed that it would come closer and then back up and closer and back up. But it stayed in that clearing and it did this for hours. It was right there. And so finally I really got freaked out. My first thought was that it was a government drone looking at us, or, that they were, and my first thought, because I'm a Bigfoot researcher and I'm like, oh, geek out immediately over, whatever. I'm like, what if they know where Bigfoot is and they're keeping an eye on us because Bigfoot's near us and they're going to be, I totally geeked out. I was like, that means the Bigfoot are here because they're keeping an eye on them and us to make sure that we don't know. And yeah, I know. I totally go to another level at first before I talk myself back down to reality. So I was like, okay, so it's definitely a drone, I'm thinking. And then I started thinking UFO, and I was like, well, that's really creepy because it is sitting here watching our camp. Like, it is dead set watching us. And so finally I got myself all worked up, and I was like, I don't want it watching us anymore. I don't want it to watch us. And so Ryan was like, well, I've flashed my light at it, let it know that you can see it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. So I got my headlamp and I flashed it. Like, I can see you, mother, quit watching my camp. And so it stayed there. It stayed there until we went to bed. And I had a weird experience that night that I'm not 100% sure I didn't dream, but it was weird enough that it scared me really, really bad. I woke up at one point in the night, and I have a little bitty teardrop camper, and I was laying with my face looking at the glass door. I woke up and there was a man's face in the door. It was a light-skinned black man, and it was like he had his phone on, like under his face, because it was kind of blue. And he looked at me and he smirked, and I reared back because, oh my God. And then he disappeared. And I reached over and I slapped the living hell out of Ryan. I was smacking all over his face. My finger got stuck in his ear. I was trying to get him awake. And I'm trying to tell him there is someone outside this camper. There is somebody here. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's half asleep. And we turned off the fan and we're listening. And then he started like thinking pretty much that I dreamed it. And he like had me convinced. And I was like, okay, I don't think I did. Okay. I went back to sleep eventually, whatever. We never heard anyone run off. We never heard any walking, anything like that. But it scared me because it made me think like whoever's operating that drone knew that I saw it and they're messing with me, right? Okay. I might have been dreaming, and I might have just went to a weird another level. So then the next time we go back, we meet up with my friend Dennis and his wife. We're camping, having a good time. I look over in that clearing, it's back. And this was the second night we were there. Wasn't there the first night, it was back the second night. I said, guys, do you see that? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, you see the white thing? They're like, yes. Okay, do you see it moving? Yes. It is not a star. It's not a plane. It's not a satellite. It's not SpaceX, whatever. It is moving. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that's not a planet. No, planets don't, So we got Dennis's camera, and we're all huddled around it, zooming in as far as we can. And it's like a little Sony camera. It's not like a big Canon zoom in on the moon. It's a little Sony digital. We're zooming in. This thing starts changing shape on the thing. At first, it was like a glowing orb on the screen, and then it changed shape, and it turned into this to me, it looked like the Death Star. And I was like, is that a turret? Is it going to shoot us? Like, oh my God, I was freaking out. And then it turned into this weird, like, orb that had spiny things on it. And then it would like morph back into just a circle. And it was terrifying. And I told them, I'm like, this is the thing I saw. This is the thing I saw. And I kept I was freaking out. And so that is the same night that we saw the eye shine, and the same night that I discovered the handprints. So it's a weird spot. It's just a weird spot anyway, but then you have like the drone thing. And so anyone that knows me will tell you straight up that when it comes to Bigfoot, I don't mess around with the orbs and the ghosts. Like, I don't want anything to do with that, because when you go home from the woods, Bigfoot stays in the woods. That other stuff comes with you. I don't mess with that. So to have a drone thing focus in on me 2 different times a month apart in the same area that I was in, that is terrifying.
Yeah, the whole changing shape thing is very strange, but the face at the back of the camper is terrifying.
Like, I may have dreamed it, but it was so realistic. I can still to this day tell you exactly what that man looked like. And Ryan was like, well, if he was standing there, I was like, no, he would have had to have been crouched down with his face in the glass. It was terrifying. Like, I don't know.
Al Santarriga's in the chat right now. He's saying you were abducted.
Oh.
And he's saying that he's got some inside info that he can share, but not on the air. I'll reach out.
My hind end seemed fine the next day, so I don't think I was abducted. I hope I wasn't abducted. I do generally sleep pretty well there, so I don't maybe.
Oh goodness!
As long as I don't remember what happened while I was abducted, that's fine. Yeah, Fire in the Sky. That movie messed me up for a really long time. I still have a phobia about things touching my eyes from that stupid movie. So,
that
not
was
to make fun of
terrifying.
you, Al. You know, I'm not making fun of you. I'm poking fun because it terrifies me. So I'm just gonna poke fun and move on because I don't even want to know if I was abducted. Thank you.
Yeah, no thanks. I wouldn't want to know either. Just
but
let me be.
Yeah, but back to the Bigfoot. That place. It took years for it to become active for me. And it was this last time was finally active. And I was like, thank God. The first time my mom and I went to that area, it was just us girls. And we had it was a coyote, I believe. Whatever it was, we were asleep in the tent and we woke up to this weird yodeling thing circling the camp. It to me, it sounded like a Native American doing a high pitch.
Yodeling's more of a Swedish thing.
To me, it sounded like a Native American kind of trilling their voice.
Okay.
And like, sounding off. And so whenever but it was walking, it was like making its way around the camp. And I woke up and I reached over and grabbed my mom. I just grab her shoulder. This is our thing. We don't say anything. We just grab our shoulder and she'll grab my hand and then we'll kind of just listen. And anyway, so we're laying there. We got it on audio. It was really weird, but that's kind of all the activity we had. And so I went back to that same spot over the years. Never really had anything. We had some weird vocals, but other than that, we did not have anything. And then this year, or last year, I guess, 2022, when I went, I had something walking around camp, something, like that walking around the camp. I could hear bipedal footsteps, but I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
And then that last weekend that we were there with Dennis, it's like it all decided to come up. Like we had the eye shine, we had the handprint, the fur, we had the X over the trail. I had something walking so loud in the woods by the camper that I looked up and I thought Dennis had gotten out of his truck and was walking off to go take a wee in the woods, which would be weird because he would normally step outside his truck and go. But I was like, maybe he's walking off into the woods, which is really brave for him, but maybe. And he told me the next day, he's like, I did not get out of that truck. I held it till the morning. Are you kidding? So whatever it was bipedal, and it was walking heavy enough through there that it was enough to make me think it was a man walking through our woods. And it was kind of rainy, so I don't think that someone would just be walking through our camp in the middle of nowhere.
Sorry, I just got freaked out. All of a sudden the lights in my kitchen started going on and off, and I'm like, "What is going on right now?" I didn't realize somebody was in there.
I wonder if there's
perfect timing to scare the crap out of me, though.
Supernatural fans in the chat. Pyromedic said the fourth kind scares the shite out of him, and if you're a supernatural fan, the fourth kind is butt stuff. So,
Well, that's not supernatural. That's
No, the show Supernatural with Dean and Sam Winchester and.
Oh wait, there's butt stuff in there.
No, in the show they say I think the fourth kind is butt stuff while Dean's running from an alien.
I'm like, wait, what? That was a cable show.
It is, yeah, 100%. Also, I mean, if you're a woman, if you've seen that show, it's one of your favorites. It's just a thing, it's just how it goes.
Yeah, I get it. Handsome fellas.
Very handsome fellas. But yeah, that area was very, it got very active that last weekend. I haven't been back because I got so busy with my business and everything. And also it was, kind of getting towards that time of year when I don't go out in nature. So, Yeah.
Gotcha. So let's talk then about, you said you had some thermal stuff. Or is there something you want to talk about? If you want to go in order, because I know that you have a A
You know
spreadsheet.
that I have a list.
You have a
I
spreadsheet.
also have this. Wait, real quick. Let's take a break. Everyone, like and subscribe right
Nice.
now. Do it.
Do it.
Do
Both
it.
channels, please do it. We linked Lauren's channel in here earlier. It's also linked on the video in the description.
Which both, you can wait and do mine after the show and then go watch all my videos. Watch them all the way through.
All of them, every one of them.
Yeah, I've had a lot of amazing things happen though over the years. I have not had a full sighting. I had within the last year, I did have I saw something. It wasn't enough to say that I would say, oh, that was a Bigfoot for sure, but it was enough that I almost fell out of my seat because I was leaning forward so far to get to look at it. I was with my mom. So her house is in the middle of the woods in East Texas, in the middle of nowhere. And she has this amazing front porch that faces the woods and a pond. And then it goes up on the other side of the pond and it's just more trees. And I mean, she is completely alone out there. And so for, almost 20 years, we have been researching all over the United States, but specifically we research from her porch while we sit out there and chit chat. Nice. And so it's amazing. And so I've had a lot of my significant encounters have been on Booger Hill. So this time, last year sometime we were sitting out there and it was a full moon. And she had just got done telling me that we were talking about eye shine. And she said, when I see eye shine during the full moon, it's a different color than the normal eye shine that I see here. She said it's like a white with a pale blue it's weird. And I was like, oh, okay. And so we're talking about that. And we had seen eye shine that night. And I saw it, it started over here. And then it was over here. And then it was down the gully across from me. And if I hadn't seen the eye shine first, I probably wouldn't have seen what I saw next. I saw the eye shine and I thought, man, wouldn't it be crazy if that thing was like walking up or belly crawling up behind that tree in front of me? Because there was a tree at 12 o'clock. And, I've been doing this for 20 years, right? So every waking moment that I'm in the woods, I'm looking for Bigfoot. Literally every shadow, every tree, every single thing, every movement, every stump squatch. I'm like, is that Bigfoot? Is that Bigfoot? Is that Bigfoot? I'm waiting for my sighting for 20 years. Yeah. So again, I'm looking and I'm like, oh, there's eye shine. Cool. I'm like, I wonder if it's going to come up and actually do something. If you want to step out into the moonlight and let me see you, that would be great. That's all I ask before I die one day. And I'm looking where the deer feeder hangs. All of a sudden I see this outline and it was something had stepped in front of the deer feeder and I see this Bigfooty outline and I leaned forward and I was basically like, my rear had lifted from the chair and I was leaned forward like in a lunge and I'm staring and I'm like dead silent, focused. I don't think I was dead silent. Actually, I take that back because I'm pretty sure the WTFs were rolling off my tongue in a steady procession. And my mom's like, what do you see? What do you see? And I'm like, I just saw an outline. There's something there. I saw something. And I'm freaking out because that's the closest to a sighting I've had. And it's almost, I saw it and then I see the eye shine turn away. And I'm just freaking out because I'm like, I just saw the outline of a Bigfoot with eye shine. Oh my God. And it went away and I couldn't see it again. And I sat and stared at that spot until my eyes dried out. And so she eventually went inside. She came back out and she was like, she's like, so did you talk yourself out of it yet? And I said, no. I said, because I saw the eye shine over here. I saw it come up. I saw it turn. And then I saw that outline. I know what I saw. And I was convinced that I did see something. I don't know if it was a Bigfoot, but I did see something very compelling. And she said, you're sure it wasn't the deer feeder? And I said, no, because I can see the moon glinting on the deer feeder right now. And I can see it. And it blocked that out. And it was two individual eyes. And then it turned and it was not a glint on the deer feeder. So the next day we went and measured where the deer feeder was. And it was about 7-8 foot up. And I looked for tracks the next day. I tracked all the way back to the gully, all around there. Couldn't find a single track, couldn't find a single scuff mark in the leaves.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is just the nature of it, though, right? This is what, this is what these beings do. They puzzle us to death.
Mhm.
They,
Yeah.
you feel like you're going crazy sometimes because I know what I heard, I know what I
Hmm.
saw, but there's nothing there of tangible proof
Yeah.
afterwards.
You say puzzle, I say frustrate, but that's
Frustrate.
just
It's
because
a,
I've been in the
yeah.
game for so long.
Piss
Um,
off.
they frustrate the ever living out of me. Um, I saw a question. It didn't glow. The eye shine. That didn't glow. It was just a faint light that I could see. I could see the eyes. However, I've been told that on the full moon that they do have kind of a bioluminescent glow. I always compare it to there's military flashlights that have the glow in the dark seal inside of them, so that when you turn off your light, it emits a soft glow that you can still see. It's kind of like that. It emits a glow on the ground from their eyes, but it doesn't. It's not like they're emitting like a flashlight, but it's a soft glow. And I've heard that before. I have not witnessed that personally. And I think that was all the questions right there. But it was enough that because I was having one of those crisis of faith moments where I was like, screw Bigfoot, I don't believe in y'all. Y'all suck, because I never had a sighting. And it kind of reignited that addiction. And I was like, there it goes. Like, I'm back on it, and I have had so many encounters on that porch though. It's insane. I asked my mom, I'm like, why do you ever leave to go Bigfoot anywhere else? Because you literally can step out on your porch and research and have encounters. The first time I got growled at was on her porch. We were doing a live show for Nite Callers back when we did live call-in shows. And I was sitting there. My mom was on the phone with someone over here. We had just ended the show. And I was sitting there by myself and I saw eye shine off over to the left. At that eye shine was a yellowy gold. And I saw it way up off the ground, but it was in an area where there were no trees. So I knew it wasn't an owl. It starts moving. And I'm like, first it was here, then it was there. I don't see it walking. I see it here, then I see it there, then I see it there. And I think to myself, I guess it's migrating around the edge of the light of the porch. And I'm just thinking to myself, I didn't say a word to anybody. I'm just sitting there, because I didn't really trust myself to speak up. I didn't have the confidence to say, I see eye shine. I was doubting myself hardcore. So I didn't say anything to anybody. And then I think there's like a bush. It's like maybe 10 foot off the porch. There's this big bush between these two trees. And I remember looking at it and thinking to myself, wow, what if it had belly crawled to that bush and it was like watching me? And I'm thinking, you know how you think in the dark, you think, what if there's a serial killer behind me, and you spook yourself? Like, that's what I was thinking to myself that I was doing. I was like, wow, what if it was behind that bush, bro? And it growled at me. Straight up, this thing, I'm looking at the bush, at the bottom of the bush where the roots are, and you can kind of see through it to the porch, and I didn't see it. This thing growled at me. And when I say growled, I felt it in my chest. I've told people that over the years, and they're like, oh, it was a big cat. And I'm like, we don't really have, we have mountain lions in that area, but why would a mountain lion just be hiding out in the bushes? Rawr, like that doesn't make any sense.
They're going to attack you from behind.
They're an ambush predator, not like hanging out behind a bush like rawr. No, this thing growled at me, and whatever it was, it had a barrel chest because it vibrated me. It had to have a chest this big around, and it scared the crap out of me. And my first reaction was offense. I was so offended that this thing growled at me. How dare you on my porch? I was pissed. And then I was terrified in the next instant. And I remember reaching down and grabbing my camp chair and pulling my bottom into it so that I wouldn't run and leave my mother to be eaten. that was my reaction, was flight, straight up. And so I was like, no, I'm going to sit here because I can't leave her out here to be eaten. I would regret everything. And I just remember sitting there and like telling myself, don't run, don't run, don't run, don't run. And then finally I was like, Mom, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Like I'm whispering, like it's going to know that I heard it. Of course it knows I heard it. Logic goes out the window when you're that scared. And so finally she's like, what, honey? And I'm like, Mom, did you hear that? And she's like, hear what? And she's like staring at my face. And I'm like, did you hear that growl? Did you hear it? And she's like, that was just a big truck on the highway. She lives 10 miles past the middle of nowhere.
Wow, but that just goes to show you how much power this growl obviously had.
It had, I mean, maybe if a truck did its Jake brake in the driveway, then maybe that would equal the growl. But no, Mom, it was not a semi truck on the highway. It rattled my chest. It was pyro. It was directed at me. And because she didn't seem as affected by it, but she heard it. Now, she said it's a semi truck on the highway. I was like, you're on crack, because the highway is very far away and you can hear a truck for 20 minutes before it gets to your driveway. No. So finally, and at that point I was pissed at her. I'm like, I was just growled at by a Bigfoot and you're just acting like it's just a so I finally got up and went inside and I was like, she can be eaten. I don't even care at this point. So I go inside and my husband at the time was asleep on the couch and I sat down next to him and I am clammy. And he wakes up and he looks at me and he's like, are you okay? Are you sick? Because I was white and clammy. And he's just like, are you okay? And I'm like, it growled at me. And he's like, what? And I'm like, it growled at me. And he's like, just what? What the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, I just got growled at. He's like, by what? And I'm like, a Bigfoot. He's just like, I did not get the support I needed that night. Let's put it that way. Finally, I think it was like a couple years later, I talked to my mom and she finally admitted that yes, she had heard it, but she didn't want to freak me out by acknowledging that that's what it was.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. I held a grudge for a long time.
I was going to say, I think in a situation like that, you need to acknowledge it.
Yeah, it was, I mean, yeah, because I doubted myself, but I still to this day know what I heard and felt. Now we have a different understanding about that. And if something happens, she does not withhold. But at the time, she was like, Lauren, you looked so freaked out and terrified. I did not want to acknowledge it because she's like, I don't know what you would have done. So she probably thought I would go in the house and never come out or never come back to her house again. She did tell me that. She's like, I was scared you'd never come here again. And I'm like, oh my God, like, mother, I got growled at. I could have been eaten.
Wow, anyway. That's craziness. Yeah. The growls, man. I had on Bill Tucker from the Squatch team not too long ago. He researches Robert Dodson's area that Robert had, and he was talking about some growls and some bluff charges. You ever been bluff charged? Kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom, she's definitely been bluff charged aggressively. Really? I was gently bluff charged. I was out.
Is that an oxymoron?
I was researching with Stephen Hill, who is one of my favorite people in the whole world, and to research with. And we were in an area in Arkansas, and we were at this like low water crossing, and we were standing there with Todd Neese. And I had the privilege of meeting Todd the summer before at Beachfoot. And we're standing there with Todd, and Todd was telling us about a project that he was working on. It was fascinating, yes, but he's standing there and he's talking and telling us this. And Stephen and I had been hearing something walking in the woods around us. And I had heard something big kersploosh in the creek. And I mean like something dropped a giant 20-pound rock in the water. Kaploosh, you know. And I'm great at sound effects. I know. So we're standing there. Finally, Stephen and Todd came down and we're standing there and he's telling us about this project that he's working on. And Stephen and I are hearing footfalls around us, like bipedal footsteps. And we're both looking at each other and looking at Todd because we're like, do you not hear this? Hello, stop talking. And we're looking at each other and all of a sudden something just, but through the leaves. And I mean, fast and hard steps, just. We looked and we didn't see anything. It was pitch black, of course, but something hard enough that Stephen Hill is a very big dude. He's probably 6'5", 280. He's a big dude. I mean, just a big, good old boy.
Yeah.
This man moved so fast to the other side of us. He about ran me over, right? And I have never seen anyone, much less someone of his size, move that damn fast. And it scared the bejesus out of both of us. And Todd kept talking. He kept talking, just talking about his project. And me and Steven are freaking out. We're like, did you hear that? Oh my God, like this thing's coming at us. And this man kept talking. And I'm like, at that point, I could not believe it. And it wasn't... We didn't feel threatened so much, like, get out of here, you shouldn't be here. It was more like it was trying to mess with us and rattle us. Like, what are you going to do if I do this, you know? Because in that same area, I've had encounters before where it's thrown things, but not at me. It'll throw a rock from one side of the woods to across the little road that we're on, throw it to the other side of the woods and land near us. Or we've had an owl go off over here and I've been blamed for it. And I was like, that wasn't me. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I was over there, first of all. We just had a lot of weird stuff happen in this area. And then sometimes when we go to that area, we get this, we call it a big cat feeling, like when you're being watched by a predator and you just feel like it's about to come out the bushes, and it's that same area. And so, but this time we got the bluff charge. And like I said, it was gentle. It was like it real fast out of the woods at us, but it didn't come out of the tree line. And I mean, at that point, Steven popped up his headlamp, and after he got done running around and looked, and we didn't see anything. There was nothing there. But it was, like I said, it was like a gentle bluff charge, but it was terrifying because how fast it moved. It could have got to us before we got to our guns. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. This is the argument I have, I think, when people say things like, oh, well, you just shoot one. Like, no, I don't think it's that simple. It's not that simple. These things are so incredibly fast and powerful and can move undetected when they want to. And then when they want you to know, most people are, I think, in a situation like that where the fear response, it's like, what do you when you start hearing something like that, people freeze. They just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You
have fight or flight. That situation was a hairy one. But it wasn't hairy before that. It's like we were standing there talking, and again, I had heard something walking, and I was like, okay, like keeping an eye on it or an ear on it. And so for it to do that, it just, I think that it knew what we were and what we were doing there, and it decided to mess with us a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I've been growled at, I've been bluff charged. I've had rocks thrown, but not at me, just around. Quite a few times. The eye shine, I've had different eye shine situations. I've had distractions is what I call them. At that same location, I was using Steven's thermal, and I have this thing where I thermal up in the trees because humans don't look up enough, I believe.
Yeah.
And death from above. So I was thermaling, and I saw, it was the weirdest thing. All I could think was baby Sasquatch up in this tree. And it was like this little face peeked out, and it was up in a tree. And it peeked out, and then it went back. And I was like, what is that? I got excited. And then a rock landed right over here. Or no. I'm sorry. I take that back. It was not a rock. It was that owl call that they thought I did. And of course, being human, I pulled the camera and looked. And when I looked back, it was gone. Whatever was up there was gone. And that's when Steven and everybody came over and they were like, did you do that call? That was great. And I was like, that wasn't me. I saw this, and then that happened, and then that's gone. And that's how, Bigfoot rolls. They're masters of distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I've had that happen so many times. I've had a thermal. I've looked, I saw one on the ground or something. I saw a long body, like something on the ground. I was with Mark Newbill, actually, from Beast. I looked at it and I was like, whoa, that's not a rock. I'm like, what is that? And I had a rock land right in front of me. And of course I drop or, pull the camera down and skitter backwards because I was like, what the hell's coming out at me? And I look back and whatever it was is gone. And I've had that happen so much and it's so frustrating, but Bigfoot are so good at distraction. Like, I think that a very large percentage of what they do is distraction based,
It's purposeful. It's 100% purposeful. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There's never one.
Yeah.
There are multiple at all times, and they all move in such strategic ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I think that everything they do is for a purpose, whether it be messing with you or distracting you because their babies are over there moving across the creek,
Mm-hmm.
But the few interesting things I've gotten on thermal have been that situation where I'm looking at something and I'm like, what is that? That's squatchy shaped or, like body shaped. And then something always happens and then it's gone. And I'm like, but I've had a lot of that. I've had a lot of experiences that have to do with distraction. And so I just have to think that that's, what they do. I can't say that they don't just mess with people. I had an experience again on my mom's porch. Mom and I were sitting out there and we were just honestly just chit-chatting about dreams and just weird things. And I think we might have been drinking a lot of wine. I'm not sure. Not a lot of wine. We were drinking wine. And we were just sitting there. We weren't drunk by any means. We were just sitting there enjoying a glass of wine and just hanging out and chit-chatting. And it was real late. And of course we're squatching because that's what we do. We're keeping an eye and an ear and looking and listening. And we heard, it was after midnight, and we heard this weird whoomp noise. That's all I can say. It was like, it sounded kind of almost like a car door shutting off in the woods, like a whoop. And I was just like, what was that? She's like, I don't know. I was like, was that a car door shutting? I'm like, who would be out, in the woods on the other side of the property line shutting a car door? Like, it was weird. And then we heard it again. And I was like, what is that? And we didn't figure out what it was that night. We heard this weird thing. Well, the next day I was walking her property line and I walked around the back of the garden and I was going to a spot where I felt was squatchy and I was going to try my hand at leaving a present for them. I had an idea come to me and I was like, I'm going to leave this shiny thing, see if they like it. Why not? And so I was walking over to that spot and I look and there's a old burn pile there. And there's a broken white laundry basket turned upside down on this burn pile. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, whatever. Like, mom has little burn piles all over her property. And next to that laundry basket was a stick, and it looked like a shillelagh almost. It had a big ball at the end of this stick, like a big root ball. And I was like,
you know what a shillelagh is? That's very impressive.
All right. So I'm thinking, I was like, no way. And so I pick up the stick and I held the basket and I whooped it. And I was like, you've got to be freaking joking. I was like, there's no way. I don't this goes against the things that I usually say are Bigfoot, right? But it was hidden. It was over there. It's the right distance. So I'm like, all right. So I go inside and I'm like, Mom, go sit on the porch. And she's like, why? And I'm like, please just go sit on the porch. And she's like, okay. I'm like, now I'm going to go off and do something. And I want you to tell me what you hear and what you think it sounds like. And she's pretty used to my shenanigans after 35 years. And so she sits and she waits for me to do whatever I'm going to do. So I go and I whooped it a couple times and I go back and I'm like, did you hear it? And she's like, barely. And I was like, what did it sound like? She's like, I don't know. And I'm like, did it sound like what we heard last night? And she's like, yeah, it sure did. And I'm like, that was that laundry basket over there and a big bulky stick that I hit on the bottom of the laundry basket. And she just, we can't really explain it. I mean, I'm not sure who would encroach upon our property to come beat a laundry basket in our yard, but there it was. And that's what we heard. And it was at Bigfoot 30 at night. So.
Oh boy. Wow.
It was interesting.
You know, it's weird. I was going to say, I was out in the Catskill mountain region recently with Long Island Bigfoot to do a little tandem thing. And we heard the strangest noise too. It was the weirdest sound. It sounded like somebody knocked on your front door, but like it was muffled. It's so hard to describe what this sounded like.
Like a ground thump?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe like that. But we couldn't figure it out for the life of us. We were like, what in God's name was that? Like,
or a chest thump.
Oh, I never thought about that.
That's the two things my mom thought that situation was that we were in. The whoomp, she thought it sounded like a ground thump when they, a gorilla beats on the ground, just a boom, because Bigfoot there are encounters of that. And then also sounds like yours, if there was skin on skin contact, maybe a chest thump for you.
Well, yeah, with a chest cavity that big, I could imagine it sounding like.
Which is just as terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So there's that for you. You can hold that tight while you sleep tonight, that you were probably gorilla threatened while you were out in the woods.
It sounded so close too. Yeah. That's the crazy part. Like it sounded so because the thing is like what was baffling us is we heard it, but you could also feel it.
Yeah. Like
Yeah. You could feel it. You could feel the percussion. And you were like, we both looked at each other and we go, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Like, what is that noise? It was a strange thing.
I've heard stuff like that. Kind of like when a potato gun goes off, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But not. Yeah.
But not.
I know exactly what you mean. Because I've thought that before. I've heard that same noise in the woods and I'm like, is that a potato gun? And they're like, you're in the mountains. They don't have that here. You're not in Southwest Oklahoma in the cornfield anymore, Lauren. You're over here in the mountains. Like that's not a thing that exists here. And it's like, so I just, yours likely could have been a chest thump. I've also heard of them doing this, but they're big, meaty, furry hands. It's less of a smack and more of a whoomp. I've heard encounters of that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
either way, the chest thing is terrifying. Well, even the ground thing's terrifying to think of the power.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you just think about them. I think if one was to like jump out of the wood line and like land next to your tent and just the jar from that alone, they have a lot of power. And I had David Wilbanks on my show last night and he said, all these people that are like, Bigfoot's going to kill you, missing 411. He's like, if they're here to kill us, they're doing a really bad job.
Terrible job.
Because they can kill us at any moment. They have the power. They have the speed. They have the, primitive, like they could literally take us out every single time we enter the woods and they don't. So,
yeah. And usually they have the numbers advantage because most people are just out there riding their bike on a trail, hiking with a buddy, you get your dog,
Even if there's 4 grown men in a campsite and 2 800-pound beings come out of the woods with claws and teeth and just sheer muscle mass, those 4 men, even with their guns, are not going to stand a chance.
No, they're not physically equipped.
No. So I hope to never have to prove that to anybody, but
right.
Yeah.
But that's scary. I never thought about that. I wish Long Island was in the chat right now because that's nuts. It was just the strangest thing, man. What happened was things were really quiet, and then all of a sudden we got into this area where we were heading up the mountain, and there were all these gigantic trees. I
Mhm.
mean, massive trees. And they were all almost creating this like, I can't do this right. So there was like back to back, and they would be, and it was like a boxed in area almost.
Mhm.
It was almost as if it was a wall of some sort.
Okay.
That's what it felt like. That's what it looked like, because there was
Yeah.
no other area like this. Everything was wide open. You're walking, and then
Yeah.
boom, there's all these big trees. And we get right to them. And when we get there, we start hearing whistles. And then we heard this vocal. And then there was a couple tree knocks. And then something landed next to us. And then it went quiet for a few minutes. And that's when we heard that weird door. It was like someone knocking on your door, the boxing mitt on or something. I don't know. But
weird.
that makes way more sense what you're saying now that I'm thinking about it. That's what it sounded like for sure. That's so nuts.
That's scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah, that's a lot going on. I think they kind of didn't want y'all there.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't feel negative, none of it. I mean, the whistling was pretty, was pretty cool and calm, and the vocal was a little, I don't know.
Yeah.
That one freaked me out a little bit. But Mike's like, oh, you can't be scared. You got to lose your fear. Like,
yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I did not like the way that sounded. That didn't sound like a happy Bigfoot to me.
I mean,
that's just me.
Yeah, that chest thump. Because I just picture, a grown ass silverback, just teeth and raw.
Right.
It's like, to imagine an 800-pound version of that coming at you or doing that, like I'm good. Honestly, I'm fine without that in my life.
Well, because I mean, silverback isn't pounding on its chest to tell you like, hey, I think that's a pretty shirt you have on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I like your hat today, Kyle. I'm not a Bengals fan, but it's a cool hat, pal. You know what I mean? They're banging on their chest to tell you, get the F out, bro. Like, you better move it now, because if not, these big old arms are going to tear yours off.
Yeah. And they don't want to cuddle.
They're not cuddly. No, they don't seem very
They're not
cuddly.
cuddlers generally. They,
no, not like a Yorkie.
An 800-pound Yorkie. Actually, an 800-pound Yorkie is my version of a nightmare. That would be terrifying. Yorkies are, I'm sorry if anybody has one, but they are evil little.
What? My parents have had 3. They were all the sweetest dogs in the world.
Oh, and imagine them at 800 pounds yapping.
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
Okay, that would be terrifying.
They have one now that is incessantly, obsessively will not stop kissing you.
Aww.
Like, it won't.
That's
she
adorable.
won't stop. It's the craziest. It's adorable.
Now imagine an 800-pound version of that.
No. She's 5 pounds, and it's like, come on, get down. You're trying to push her away, and she's crawling up your arm, licking your face, licking your ear, licking your nose, and you're like, get away, get away.
Oh my God. You just, imagine holding off an 800-pound version of that,
No, I couldn't do that. No, I couldn't do
that. That's what I say about, so, I'll watch different, like, Texas law and Louisiana law, like those shows. I love those shows. It's about game wardens and kind of, it's cops, but game wardens. And we'll watch that, and, they'll catch gators and stuff. And I'm like, they just want belly scritches. I'm like, they just want you right behind the ears. And my boyfriend's just like, God, you're going to get eaten one day. I swear to God. And I'm just like,
but I'm that way too, though. Like, I see any animal and I instantly think like, oh, the poor thing. It's like, it's hungry. It just wants a friend. It's lonely. Like,
there's a Facebook page called "I'm Going to Die One Day Petting Something I Shouldn't," and I'm part of that group. Because or that channel, White Women Will Pet Anything. I am literally part of that group. Like, a white woman will pet anything. Like, you see, and he shows, like, the guy shows this like Cujo looking dog at the end of its chain, and it's rah, 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 teeth and drool, and I'm like, oh, like Kim's just need belly scritches.
Yeah, get
Kim's
him
just
off the
angry.
chain, will ya?
Like
Bring him
Kim's sweet.
inside. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of it because I think the alligators are adorable, and I don't want to pet one. But did I have one as a friend whenever I was working in Louisiana on disaster relief? Yes, his name was Cletus. He was adorable, and he liked marshmallows.
A gator?
A gator. He lived in the pond at the place I was staying. Him and his brothers. He was very sweet. Ryan, we have a picture of Ryan actually touching his tail. We didn't get the picture of him running away after it flipped on him, but we did have the picture of him touching his tail. But yeah, I think animals like that are adorable. I'm not going to go pet one, but do I respect them from a boundary over here? Yes. But Bigfoot, I don't think that they're cuddly forced creatures. I don't. But do I think that they're man-eating killing machines that are going to eat me and my babies? Also no.
No, I don't
We've
believe
talked
that
about
either.
that. If you guys would like to hear about that, please find my show on this channel a couple shows back.
Yeah, it was a wonderful episode. Yeah, and it was great. And again, it's so important what you're teaching them.
Yeah.
Not just about this community, but about nature itself.
Yeah.
Respecting it, loving it, taking care of it. It's really good. And I think that's why it got such a great response. And the compliments to you that were given.
Yeah.
Just about the fact that oh, she was so intelligent, the way that she presented this, and she was so steadfast in what she believes, and blah blah blah, and all of it was right. Oh, everybody was right. It was great.
Those comments, I mean, that it made. I felt really good after reading those comments because I'm like, okay, like I'm bringing this across in a way that people can understand it, in a way that people don't, because people automatically assume not nice things when I say that I take my kids Bigfooting, or that you should get kids into nature, or that you should get kids into this topic and raise them up as the next generation of Bigfooters. I don't get a whole lot of support with that. A lot of the old timers and the veterans do not believe in that. Children should not be on outings. Children should not be included. And I'm like, you're excluding them from this, but you're not going to live forever. Like, someone has to take over. And if you don't teach them the things that you've learned over the years, you're doing a disservice to this topic by not passing on what you've learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly. My mom has taught me the good, the bad, and the ugly over the years. We've seen a lot of things that worked, a lot of things that didn't, and a lot of hate and grossness in this community. And we've learned to go with our gut. We've learned, a lot of different things. But if we don't teach the next generation what we know, who's going to carry the torch? You think that we're just going to solve this before we all die and that it's going to be done and that's the end of it and we're good to go? Kids don't need to know about it. It doesn't stop with proven, because then we have to move into learning everything we can once they're established in conservation needs, if and when the government ever lets us say, these are a thing, here we go, they live.
Right.
But they've already admitted to UFOs, so maybe Bigfoot's next on the docket. Maybe like 2023, that's when it's going to be the year of the Bigfoot.
Oh gosh, who knows? But I'll tell you this: it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever the topic, whether it's science, Bigfoot, sports, whatever it is, you're doing a disservice to it if you're not teaching anybody else what you know.
Right.
This is what you're supposed to do with everything.
Yeah.
Is you're supposed to pass the knowledge of all these things on to the next generation. My grandfather used to sit and tell us things and, like teach us stuff. My great grandfather had a wood shop in the basement. He would show us how to, glue pieces of wood together. It was simple stuff because we were kids. It wasn't anything crazy, but it begins there. Yeah. And then, as kids get older, you teach them a little more, and a little more, and a little more, and a little more. But yeah, you're right. If I think it's the ego shit, man, the ego thing where people,
it sucks.
I want to take it to my grave with me.
It sucks. And I'm just like, and not, it's bad enough that a lot of people in the Bigfoot community, there's Long Island.
There he
Bigfoot.
is.
There you are.
I
His
was just
ears
telling
were
Lauren
burning.
about the weird noise we heard in the woods that day that sounded like a front door being knocked on or something, but very muffled. Anyway,
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. So it's bad enough that people in the community keep things from each other. Like,
Yeah,
my research is my research, and I'm going to
right.
solve this all by myself. And I'm like, okay, but what if you don't? I'm like, what if you share that? And so it's bad enough we keep it from each other, and now we're keeping it from the kids because we don't want to scare them, or it's too dangerous to have them in the field. And I'm like, in certain instances, yes, obviously use your best judgment. However, zero tolerance for kids in the field is stupid.
Stupid.
Because and it's so funny because the same people that will complain about kids having too much screen time, oh, they're glued to their devices, are the same people that won't get them out in nature and teach them about
Yeah.
nature either. And I'm like, you can
Ding
use
ding.
Bigfoot research to lure kids into nature.
Ding ding.
It's amazing. It works. My
Amazing.
kids, they can build a fire and set up a tent and gather wood and do all these amazing things. And they have all this knowledge of species from our area and the flora, the fauna, all that. And it's because I take them out into nature, and then they get interested in it. So then, because they're little sponges, they go read books on it, and they watch National Geographic, and they watch Discovery Channel, and they gain all this knowledge so that when they go back out, they know what's what. I mean, to me, we're doing a disservice by not having our kiddos out there.
100%. Can I tell you, it's not just children either. It's other adults.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell
Yes.
you a couple examples of this, right? This is my own family. My mother, most skeptical person on the planet, like the most skeptical person. She is like, no, no, no to everything. Since this channel started, and since she's had easy access to people like yourself and other researchers, since she's been able to see me go live in the woods and see things happen as they're happening.
Yeah.
She now isn't just hearing about this weird, crazy topic of this hairy beast in the woods. She's listening to people who are clearly sane individuals, who are very smart, who are very intellectual, who are very grounded, down to earth, normal people, who are from all walks of life. And she's getting different perspectives, and she finally is a believer, right? My brother, I wouldn't call him a skeptic, but he's kind of the type of guy who's just like, whatever, whatever. He sends me pictures the other day, and he goes, dude, I don't know what to think. He said, he has woods behind his house, a lot of woods, and they are, he has acres of property there, but they're connected to reservoir property, which no one's allowed on.
Oh.
So he has, on his property, he has a deer feeder and a blind. And he goes and he puts food in the feeder. He moves the blind. He checks his trail cameras like a few times a week, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I've been going out there however often for months. He goes, and all of a sudden, this is what I see. And he sends me a picture of a tree that's bowed over and stuck underneath a log. And he goes, that's not been there. That was never there. We've walked over that log every day to get to that feeder. He said, I don't know what does that. And then he sends me another picture of like a couple branches that were like in the shape of a Y laid across that log.
Yeah.
And he said, again, I don't see these two pieces, these two sticks landing on this log that way. He goes, it looks to me like someone put them there.
Yeah.
But this is stuff that they would have never thought about. They would never talked about. They didn't have somebody saying to them constantly, listen, just open your mind. Like there's stuff out there. There's things to look for. And then when they learn about these things and they see them, they can't deny them.
Yeah. You're broadening their horizons.
Well, it's not just me. I mean,
I mean, we're broadening their horizons. That's people that I talk to, because I've been doing this a very long time, from from a time period of you don't talk about Bigfoot because people think you're crazy. Like you don't mention this at work, you're going to get fired. You
Sure.
don't tell the people at your church, you don't tell people about this, to now where I'm known as the Bigfoot girl and people want to ask me questions. And I tell people, if you want to ask questions, if you want to have a healthy debate, great. I'm here for it. I will talk all day. If you want to ridicule me, go on. Go out the door. I don't want it. But most people now have questions and legitimate questions, and they want to have a healthy debate. I'm here for that. You know, I'm here for that because we're broadening the horizons. Hold on. Everybody go like and subscribe real quick. Por favor.
We are 5 away.
Yes. Please like and subscribe. Show some love to Kyle and all the hard work that he does to keep this show so amazing.
You guys are incredible. Seriously, like I am completely humbled by this outpouring of support. I love you guys so much. You are absolute fucking rock stars. Really.
Yes.
Honestly, I love you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's crazy.
It is. I'm very excited for you.
I'm super excited. I've been pushing hard for this one. That's
exciting.
Lauren's channel is Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio.
Lord, that's
it was linked in here before, somewhere up in the chat. If not, it's in the description on the page. It's also on my Instagram page too, which I actually did. I put a post up. Did you see that? Do you know the last post I put up on my Instagram page for the show was the last time you were on?
Really? I feel honored.
That's how terrible I am at doing it.
I mean, we talked about that. There's a lot going on. Hold on, let me go see if I can. Oh, I guess not. Okay, never mind.
We got it right here. We got a link right here. Boom.
Okay. All right. You just got another subscriber because I have
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone's saying 2 more. 2 more.
How exciting.
Are we really on this live countdown right now to 1,000?
Yeah, 998 subscribers.
Oh my goodness.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. For me, it's exciting. I know for you, you're like, yeah, whatever.
No, I'm excited. I mean, I am lucky that I had kind of a little bit of a head start, but not really. I started my YouTube channel, I think in 2020, right? And so it's taken me 3 years to get my 4,500 subscribers on YouTube.
Well, that's fast.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, and getting people like Doug Hychek and Cliff Barackman on there, and people that.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
We just hit it. We hit it.
Hey, good job, everybody. I'm so proud of you all. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's awesome. So stoked.
That's exciting. Congrats, Kyle.
They were messing with me so bad for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I swear to God, we're watching, me and Fresh would watch every day, and we'd talk, we go, who's doing this? It would be at 969, and then it would go to 967. Then it would go to 969, then it would go to 968. Then it would go to 969, then it would go to 968. Yeah. And it did this every day. And I'm like, who's playing these games? Like, who's doing this?
There was a trend on Instagram where and Instagram finally put an algorithm to block it, but people would go like 50 different pages. And then, of course, when you get a like on Instagram, you're like, oh, I'm going to follow back, right? They would make you follow them back, and then they would wait and they would go unfollow all those people so that they had 2,000 followers and followed 100 people. Oh, because you're more popular if you have more followers than the people you follow. So that was a thing on Instagram for a while. People would go follow, 500 people and then go unfollow them the next day after they got follow backs.
Oh, wow. That's dirty.
It was dirty. It was rough. And so finally Instagram put a thing on there where if you tried to go unfollow more than 10 people, they'd be like, you can only unfollow 10 people a day. And I'm like, good. catch these hands. I'm really happy for you, though. I'm really excited.
I'm very excited.
That
really
1,000 is awesome. I'm actually going to make you a little thing for you to post on Instagram later.
Oh,
I'm so excited for you.
I'm very excited. Wow,
that's awesome.
Well, I mean, you were here tonight. You gotta give you some credit for this.
I take no credit, but I'm very excited. Everybody would like their beard, please.
Apparently, this is a thing. Asking. Everyone wants a beard
and a dollar.
And a dollar.
Yeah. You promised.
I promised. Well, now that I'm monetized,
I know, right? Yeah, that's the goal.
Once YouTube starts sending me those dollars, maybe I'll send them out.
Good luck.
I'm sure. I'm sure it'll be $1.
Exactly. Everyone's like, you make so many. You have almost 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. You must be raking in the bucks. And I'm like, it takes me 1 year to make $100.
Yeah, people just totally don't get it.
No, they don't. Google AdSense doesn't do a payout until you reach $100 threshold. Yeah. I get a payout about every August. So I on my content analytics or whatever, let's see, it'll tell me how much I earn for each episode, right? And so for last night's episode, like it'll tell you, it's like, oh, you've earned let's see, estimated revenue for the last 28 days, $6.71. Boy, I'm taking y'all all to dinner. All y'all, everyone, order anything you want. Like people don't understand, like you have to bust it and you have to work hard. If you're like Bigfoot Crossroads, like Matt Knapp, and you have, you have to basically hit like 100,000 subscribers for your YouTube to really pay out. And it comes from ads. When you watch those ads, that's when you get the money. Like that's how you get paid on that. People buying merch, that's a good way to support. So if you really love Kyle's content, watch his videos all the way through with the ads. I know they're annoying, but watch them anyway. Just put it up on your screen and walk away and let it play. Support him that way. Buy his merchandise when he has it. If he has a Patreon eventually, support him on that. Because if you think about it, you buy a McDonald's lunch for $10, once a month. Well, if you spend $10 on Kyle's stuff to support him, that helps him to keep doing an amazing show for you guys. And he can put even more time into that. So it's worth it.
It's a huge help. And that McDonald's lunch is not going to get you anything except fat like me and, like artery disease and all that stuff.
Yeah.
This will not. You will not get, high blood pressure from this.
Yeah.
You will not. Hopefully, I won't give anyone a heart attack. You may get some laughs and, some cool pictures and some other stuff. Who knows?
You're going to shave your beard at 1,000 subs? So exciting.
I will never shave my beard. I have not been without facial hair since I was like 14. It won't happen.
Me neither.
I look like a weirdo.
Me neither. This is a filter.
I'm one of those people who honestly, like, I can't. When I accidentally shaved my mustache years ago, and I remember looking in the mirror going, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I didn't, and I'm like, nope, not going to happen ever again. Never. Not happening.
My dad looks like Sam Elliott. Like literally, I used to sell my dad's autograph to kids on the bus for $15 a piece because they thought he was Sam Elliott.
No way.
I was an entrepreneur. Okay. Also, I feel really bad about that now. But he shaved his mustache one time because he lost a bet with my little brother. The man looked like a gopher. Yeah. Literally, his lip was 7 feet long. I said, please never again. I cannot handle it. My heart cannot handle it. Do not. So there are just some people that this is the way you look and this is the way you're going to look forever. And if you ever have sudden onset hair loss from, the neck up, you're going to have to Sharpie it in because this is just how you look forever.
That's how I feel. I feel like my lip just goes like a Bigfoot lip. Like it just goes, there's a giant space between my nose and my upper lip. And I'm like I'm like a caveman or something weird.
Oh my gosh, Janelle.
What'd she say?
Sorry. Camping with Sasquatch said Janelle's caressing the ban button. Just
Yeah, we've removed her wrench and we've started her out now with a spoon. We're gonna start her with a spoon. She's jailed more people than like Texas courts so far in her time as a moderator in like the 3 weeks she's been a moderator.
Oh my God. She's so amazing. I brought her on recently, and last night she was like, I don't have any tools. And I'm like, what are you talking about, tools? And so I'm like trying to type and interview this guest. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? We had a guy in there. He's like, you guys know Bigfoot's not real, right? And I was like, and I hit block, and I was like, man, I hope he wasn't being sarcastic. And he was like, one of the regulars, because I'm sorry, dude, I don't fly here. We just,
I don't have any tools.
Like, she's like, I don't have any tools. Like, and I guess she was talking about the wrench spoon situation. I don't know. Anyway, so
well, we decided to spoon tonight because she put my good buddy Bigfoot Lake in timeout, and he came over and was like, I'm bringing a whole bunch of people over to get you to 1,000 tonight. And she's like, yeah, timeout, jerk. Thanks for helping
me nail. She's so funny. She's a hoot and a half. So we went camping with her at Boykin Spring, and we had kind of a girls camp. All the kids were there too, but that's when I really got to spend some one-on-one time with her. And oh my God, she is one of the funniest damn people I've ever met in my life. She had told this story with some what I thought was advice on fishing, and it was very inappropriate. And I thought she was for real. And so next time I was alone fishing, I tried it. And turns out that like a couple years later, I was talking to her about it, and she was like, Lauren, no, I was kidding. I told Brandon that just to mess with him. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, do you know? Yeah, she's saying no. Like, I won't say what it was, but I was like, oh, well, now I feel like an idiot.
Oh boy, I can imagine with her.
Oh, she's a hoot and a half. She has some very colorful things. She's very appropriate most of the time, but she has, when she does say things like,
yeah.
you know, because she doesn't talk like that, it catches you off guard. And she said something about Jason Momoa, and
she said it to me too.
Yeah. I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
And I could not breathe. And then I mentioned it in front of mixed company at our Nite Callers camp out. And she's like, I'm blushing. Don't say that. And she was so upset with me for mentioning it. But oh my gosh, she is so funny. She is hilarious.
Yeah, total trip.
She is. She's an amazing person though. And she's one of the kindest damn people I've ever met in my life. But sure. Yeah, anyway, I've enjoyed tonight so much, Kyle. Thank you for bringing me back. Seriously. And I do want to give a promo shout out real quick. The Nite Callers camp out is March 17th through the 20th at McGee Creek Wildlife Management Area in Oklahoma. Okay, so the information's on my Facebook page. It's on my Instagram. So you guys go check out, look for the Nite Callers camp out. It's pinned at the top. All the details are in there. It's a primitive campsite. It's, no running. Well, there's a water spigot to get water, latrine toilets, no showers, no cell service, lots of rocky things to go hike and climb, lots of Bigfoot. And it's a really good time. You get to go meet a lot of great people. You get to hang out with the Nite Callers crew. It's really, really amazing.
Sounds awesome.
This will be our second annual. So I've put on campouts before, events and stuff. And I got to the point I was like, I don't want to do any more events. I don't want to put on a festival. I don't want to put on a conference. I don't want there to be raffles and all this stuff. Like, I just want a camp out. I want a place for anyone who's a fan of Nite Callers or Bigfoot in general to come camp, hang out, hang around the story, meet and network other researchers. And so we did it last year for the first time, and it was a huge success. Not 1,000 people there or anything like that. It was enough people that people were meeting other people and networking, and it was amazing. So I hope that if you guys are anywhere in a area surrounding Oklahoma, that you will try to make it. If not, there will be another one the next year. But I hope to see you guys because it's really fun, and that area is just gorgeous. Like it's a really good time. So
Someone's asking, will you do a live there?
I don't have enough signal. Like there is
usually what it's like out in places.
No signal there. I usually go up the road. There's a little spot where you get signal, and I have done a live from there before. And I usually do during the camp out just to say, hey, like this is what's going on. These people are here. We're having a great time. And then I turn the viewfinder around because the one spot I can get signal is I climb out on top of a rock over a cliff, and I'm like, look at this view. And it's just this mountain valley view below me. And so it's really amazing. So, just like it's an absolutely gorgeous place. And I actually got I actually had someone, a person who has had experiences there and researches there and has had sightings there. And I was given his number recently. So I'm going to try really hard to get him to come as well so that he can kind of tell us about that. So we'll see if he does. He's kind of a private person, but, and then also David Wilbanks from last night on my show, he's going to try to come as well. So
he's awesome. David's great.
Yeah, he's great. So, we talked about your show actually after the show. We got to chit chatting, and we both love your show. Yeah, so he's going to try to come as well, and I know a lot of people are a huge fan of him. So, yeah, if you guys can make it, I would love to meet you all.
Well, yeah, if you guys are in the area, please go. I always wish there were more of these things around this area, and there's not. There's a BFRO this summer coming up in June, but that's the first one I've seen in this area in forever. Yeah. And so if you got it and it's in your area, I say take full advantage of it, man. This has been an awesome night for multiple reasons. Yeah, again, what a great show. What a wonderful guest you've been.
Thank you.
Awesome stories, great conversation, fun. And I can't even believe that you guys pushed so hard. I'm stumbling with my words. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I'm so grateful. I'm so humbled. It's amazing. And for all of you who have been picking on me incessantly for months about the blueberry pretzel dessert, my girl made it for me for Valentine's Day yesterday. So Operation Blueberry Pretzel Dessert is done. It's in my belly right now, and I'm a happy man. So you can stop picking on me every time you're in the chat and throwing blueberry pretzel dessert up there. So my mouth starts watering and I start, thinking about it because I ate it finally. So, and they put it up anyway, jerks.
I'm very happy for you because that sounds delicious, and I don't even know what it is, but
it's incredible.
I'm over here still trying to finish this off, but whatever you had still, it sounds way better.
Oh boy, I'll tell you about it when we're done. Okay. All right.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You want to plug anything else? You good?
I think that's it. I mean, just you guys try to check out my camp out, and if you guys can. If Kyle gives you a night off and you want to check out another show, go check out Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio. It's right there. It's spelled Nite Callers, not crawlers. And and just check it out. I have some good people on, and I have a very amazing chat. It is a lot like this one. A lot of good people, a lot of kind people, good conversation. Janelle moderates over there too, so you guys get to have double Janelle time. So.
Yeah, it's a great show, guys. Go check it out. Please go sub. You know how we do over here. If somebody's a good person and I usually try not to have anybody bad on the show, although I might have made a mistake or two along the way. For the most part, though, we have good people on the show and we spread the love. So please, if you're not subbed to Lauren's channel, please go sub to her channel. Spread the love, and I will be back tomorrow night with the She Squatchers at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, guys, I love you all so much. I cannot thank you enough. And I will see you tomorrow night. Thank you. Good night, guys.